Sustainability leadership for Teck is absolutely a key part of who we are as an organization and a core value of ours. I never imagined that I would end up working in the mining industry, but really what changed my mind was understanding more and more that the products of mining are essential for the energy transition, which something I care a lot about. I think a lot of people do around the world. The key thing for sustainability is doing mining in the most responsible way possible.
So good morning and welcome to the Assay TV. I'm really happy to be joined here today with Katie Fedosenko, Director of ESG Engagement at Teck Resources Limited. So Katie, thanks for joining me here in the Hive and Assay Studios today.
Thanks for having me, Amy. Great to be here.
Absolutely. It's always nice to have people in our studio. So let's begin by can you share a little bit about your role in ESG engagement with Teck Resources? So, what does your job entail?
Oh, really happy to. It's a really exciting job, to be honest, one that's new for me and new for the organization. For those that aren't familiar with Teck, we're a Canadian mining company. We've been around for 110 years, and we produce copper, zinc, and steelmaking coal. And so you might be wondering, why is a Canadian headquartered company in London? And the answer is that London is the home not only to mining finance, but really to thought leadership on sustainability and ESG more broadly. And so the work that we do in London and throughout Europe is to share a bit about Teck, especially since we're going through a really interesting transition to become an energy transition metals organization. And then also to gather insights and intelligence and share it back with our management team, ultimately helping to evolve our strategies today and tomorrow.
Okay, sounds great. And you've recently transplanted to London?
We opened our office just over 2 years ago. I've been here myself a year and a half, and what a ride it's been. It's such an incredible place to be, both in London and traveling to places like Brussels and Geneva and Paris. The conversation on responsible mining has really evolved in the last 12 months, and I think it only has more to go, especially with the recognition of critical minerals being essential for the energy transition, especially solidified more recently by the International Energy Agency.
What does sustainability really mean to you within your role at Teck Resources? You guys are seen as one of the leaders in the mining industry. So, what are some of those kind of key sustainability points of focus?
Well, first of all, thank you, Amy, because sustainability leadership for Teck is absolutely a key part of who we are as an organization and a core value of ours. I never imagined that I would end up working in the mining industry, but really what changed my mind was understanding more and more that the products of mining are essential for the energy transition, which is something I care a lot about. I think a lot of people do around the world. The key thing for sustainability is doing mining in the most responsible way possible. And for us, primarily our mines in the Americas, they're within really special ecosystems. They're within or adjacent to Indigenous people's territories. And of course, in the context of climate change, there can be significant emissions. And so for sustainability at Teck, we focus on decarbonizing our operations, working towards a nature-positive future, and working in collaboration with local communities and Indigenous peoples to share in the benefits of mining.
Are there specific metrics that you use to measure kind of sustainability and these kind of ESG focuses that you do within your role?
Measuring sustainability is a super tough challenge no matter what industry you're in. Teck has been reporting on sustainability for more than 24 years, and we use, like thousands of other companies around the world, the Global Reporting Initiative, the GRI, as our foundation. We also use things like the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, SASB, their mining indicators, and we're looking really closely at what's happening with ISSB, and in Europe, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. In terms of measuring our performance and sustainability, we have more than 60 different data sets measuring things that you would expect: health and safety, community feedback, water use. And what's really important to note is that these metrics are not just about what goes in our sustainability report. Management uses this on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to evaluate our performance. It's baked into executive compensation, and it's a key part of how we run our operations.
Okay, sounds great. So I thought we could change kind of focus a little bit to talk about the business case for ESG engagement. Obviously, there's great benefits to communities and everything else with kind of bringing ESG as a main focus for the company. But where does Teck see a lot of the benefits from this? And then how does this kind of trickle down the value chain within the mining industry?
I think for Teck, and honestly for mining companies around the world, if you can't mine responsibly, you won't have the support you need from government, from local communities, and from your shareholders to continue to operate and to grow. And so that means early and often engagement from the very beginning. A really good example is our new copper mine in northern Chile, Quebrada Blanca. At QB, we engaged prior to operations with a local supplier to secure renewable energy for the operation. We also worked with fishermen unions and indigenous communities to secure more than 20 agreements with them prior to the mine operating on local benefits, including employment. In fact, 1 in 3 people that work at QB, I actually had a chance to visit it a couple months ago, are women, which is way above the national average in Chile. And that's the case for many of our mines around the world. And so when you think about the business case for sustainability, it's really imperative to continue operating and growing. We see it as a strategic competitive advantage for us and a key part of our story as we transition to become an energy transition metals organization.
Okay, great. I'm sure, those benefits are both tangible and intangible then.
Exactly.
And so, the mining industry has quite a big PR issue in terms of, letting communities and the public understand kind of the work that we do. So how do you think the mining industry can do better at sharing social contributions and changing people's perceptions of the industry overall?
I'll admit, as someone who doesn't have a background in mining, I have a degree in English, I didn't fully understand the mining sector or the benefits that it creates. But I think it's really interesting to note that for every 1 job in mining, it creates 4. The economic contribution of the mining industry today is significant, and it'll only grow from here, especially with the growing demand for critical minerals with the energy transition. The footprint of mining is a lot smaller than a number of other industries as well, whether it's agriculture or deforestation. It's only 0.05% of the total footprint worldwide that mining takes up. And so you have significant benefit for a relatively small footprint. But there are significant social and environmental impacts of mining. There's legacy issues that we have to address. And I think a key way of doing that is through collaboration with local communities to understand what they're looking for when it comes to the benefits of mining or whether it's reducing impacts. Another example from QB was a program that we partnered with the UN Women organization to deliver. And so the first thing we did when we arrived in that area was engage with local Indigenous women, understand their barriers to entry in the local economy. And the key thing that we heard from them was that there wasn't sufficient training or resources. And so with UN Women, we opened a center called Originarias in that region. And so far, thousands of women have gone through with training, not only to work in the mining industry, but to create their own businesses in the local region. And so when I think about the benefits of mining, absolutely there's direct employment, but it also has to start with understanding what local communities want to accomplish and working in collaboration with trusted organizations like the UN to help deliver that.
Great, thank you. And so finally, one-to-one group and the Assay, we work predominantly with the junior end of the market. Coming from the perspective of one of the majors in the mining industry, what sort of message or solutions can you provide to those on the smaller end of the industry, that may have, I guess, more budgetary constraints and stuff, and may see sustainability and ESG as there might be a bit of more of a constraint there for them?
I think what's really exciting to see is a recognition, the same as Teck has, that sustainability is really a competitive advantage, not only to continue operating, but to get your initial permits and regulatory approvals, no matter what stage of the mining life cycle you might be. And a key way that you demonstrate responsibility is through various international recognized standards. We're members of the International Council on Mining and Metals. They have commitments to sustainability that we follow. But there's also groups like Copper Mark, which has a really robust, but I think accessible and pragmatic framework to follow. The Mining Association of Canada, great to talk to a fellow Canadian. MAC has the Towards Sustainable Mining program, which has been adopted not only in Canada, but in Australia and the Philippines, Norway, and many other countries too. And so whether you're a major or whether you're a junior, looking at these standards and finding the one that fits the best mold for you in terms of your budget and your team, I think is a really important way of demonstrating to regulators and communities that you're doing it responsibly. There's been a saying that we've had at Teck for a number of years that if you can't grow it, you have to mine it. And how you mine is just as important as what you're mining. And so in terms of being able to provide those critical minerals for the energy transition, no matter what stage of mine life you have, whether you're a junior or a major, we all have to find a way of doing that in a better way.
Absolutely. And I mean, personally, I've seen a lot of really, really positive developments from a lot of the juniors that take part in our event and contribute to the assay. But it's also great to see a lot of great work being done by your end of the industry. So that wraps up my interview questions for today. Katie, thanks for joining me here at the assay.
Thank you so much, Amy. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.